And that's EA done with as well. Shorter press conference, so ran longer than I would have liked. Lots of stuff there, not all of it interesting. In fact, as is normal for EA, EA is kind of a bummer for me. We'll just go down it chronological order. They started off with a really quick showing of the new Mass Effect game, Mass Effect Andromeda. No gameplay, nothing of that. It was a cinematic trailer of a guy looking at different cool environments while Johnny Cash's version of Ghost Riders in the Sky played. It was cool. At one point, he teleported, got there with the Mass Effect field, presumably, and then punched somebody. So it'll be a Mass Effect game. It's coming to holiday 2016. Realistically, there's no goddamn details right now. We'll tell you more about this next year. Then they moved on to Need for Speed. This is where it gets interesting. This is Need for Speed. That's the name. It's a reboot, if I'm not mistaken. Last time I checked, it was made by a company named Ghost Games. It's not made by Criterion. And again, it was mainly a cinematic trailer. There was some gameplay as well. And it sounds like they're really going all in. They're kind of balancing their focus between all the different Need for Speed sub-franchises into this one game, with street racing and kind of a city being the major focus. Customization is back. Customization is something that's been missing heavily from a lot of the last few games. It's in this, and it's richer than ever. Lots of tuning, lots of aftermarket parts. You're changing your visual look. You're changing your paint job. You're changing all the bits on the inside of your car. I saw hoods and spoilers and all sorts of that stuff as well. So that's a big deal. I know there's been a lot of people really excited about that. It's going to be open world. It's not level-based or race-based or anything like that. It's open world. I can't remember what it's called. I think it was called Ventura City. Supposedly it'll be twice the size of Rivals, so that's a decent-sized world. Built on the Frostbite engine, naturally, it looks very, very pretty. Dark. It was very dark. Also, most importantly in my mind, there was full-motion video for cutscenes they showed, so maybe this might mark the return of Razor Ramon, if I'm not mistaken, was the great dumb character from those earlier Need for Speed games. Also, back to the gameplay, jumping into events seems seamless. The guy was kind of just like driving into the city, and then just a bunch of cars drove by, and he joined into that group. It's like, now you're in a drift event. Good for you. And then he went through that event, and then he kind of finished the event, and it was like, boom, now you're out of the event, and he never had to stop driving. It was very interesting. Though I will say the one thing I noticed from that gameplay is that the camera seems to sit real low behind the camera when you're kind of in a third-person view. By that I mean camera sits really low behind the car. Sorry, we're running low on time, so I'm maybe speaking a little too fast. But yeah, Need for Speed, it's coming. They didn't give a date on that. If they did, I missed it. But it looks like this might be the Need for Speed game a lot of people have been asking for a while. So, get hype. Then they moved on to Star Wars The Old Republic. Specifically that more story content is coming. Obviously, that's their MMO. Came out a couple of years back. A lot of people were kind of mad on it, but the thing people really liked was the story. Unfortunately, that ran out rather quickly. They have promised more is coming. It's going to be very choice-driven. It's going to be classic BioWare kind of story. It's going to have new worlds, new companions. It's all coming in a big expansion called Knights of the Fallen Empire. And that expansion will be free to all current subscribers. So I think that means if you're playing it not for free. They said it's coming out, I said October 27th. The big deal with it is that it's going to be it looks to be focused on kind of like a brothers rivalry sort of thing. They showed a big cinematic trailer of two brothers raised in this weird empire with yellow lightsabers, and one was wearing black and one was wearing white, but the guy in white seemed evil, so maybe that's their thing. And then, Jedis are evil now. Also, you got Darth Vader parts at one point, so I don't know, Star Wars shit's going to happen with that. It might be interesting, it might not, who knows. Moving on, next game. They unveiled a little indie-looking thing called Unravel, by a Swedish team called Cold something. What was the name of the studio? It's focused on the little yarn man named Yarny as he kind of wanders in the 2D puzzle platformer to find the love of yarn and blah, blah, blah. The guy describing it made it sound very kind of hippy-dippy. It was very like, the yarn represents your love and how we're all missing love in our lives and how we must search out the yarn that is love in life. And then it looked like a physics-based 2D puzzle platformer. But it looked interesting. It was very, very pretty. And it had a very kind of Pikmin Toy Story aesthetic where you're a small little yarn man wandering through a big world. And that was kind of interesting. I think that's going to be a visual treat when it comes out, though. I'm not 100% sure how that gameplay is going to be. The gameplay looks interesting, but again, it's fairly standard. Moving on, they showed more of Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. Actually, some gameplay this time, and really went into it. The big deal this time seems to be that the plants are attacking rather than defending. And a lot of that is due to a time travel element. We mentioned earlier during the Microsoft press conference that the big hook here is that the zombies have taken over. They've won. It's Zomburbia now. And the plants are now attacking to try to take it back. And they're bringing with them characters or units from the past and the future into this area. So there's going to be a big time travel hook. And at one point they showed a montage, and I could see maps that were like dinosaur maps and ancient Egypt maps. So they're getting some Plants vs. Zombie 2 stuff into that. Story element seems to be a much bigger focus. They were showing a new mode called Graveyard Ops, which is a lot like the Defend the Suburbs mode from the first game, where you were a bunch of plants defending against zombies trying to attack a central area. It's that, except now you're the zombies trying to defend a central tombstone against a bunch of plants attacking you. And there are 4 specific zombies. There's a big superhero-looking guy. There's a little imp dude who's got a bunch of gadgets and stuff. There's a pirate who's got like sniping capabilities, and the zoologist who they conspicuously didn't talk about, but is like a zombie scientist kind of guy. I imagine he'll probably be a healer. And you use those 4 kind of Left 4 Dead style to defeat all these attacking plants until you have to leave, until you get evacuated from the area. The mode kind of has a slight Titanfall feel, is what I got from that, which I guess makes sense considering it is EA. They also did confirm there will be single player. That is something the first Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare was missing. There was no single player at all in that game. This one, you will be able to play every single mode in the game versus bots, and with local split screen if you so desire. I like that. I actually really like Plants vs. Zombies as a franchise. I think it's a lot of fun. I like the art style, I like the characters. So I'm excited to try that out in single player mode. While I'm not a big multiplayer guy, that will be enough to get me to check it out. What else was in that? They did say that you'll be able to transfer your characters from Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 1 to Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 for all those multiplayer modes, because there was all that stuff where you'd be getting upgrades and special costumes and stuff in the first game, and it's kind of nice that that's all going to come across the second one. That's coming out spring of next year. Also, they did promise that free content updates, though they didn't say what was going to be in those free content updates, will be coming out steadily afterwards. Moving on, sports. Oh my god, sports. They talked a lot about sports. Hold on, I missed something, didn't I? I totally did. Give me 1 second. Yeah, there was one other small Star Wars thing before the other big Star Wars thing, and that is a new game called Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which is Star Wars Hearthstone. It's a collectible CCG you're going to play on your phone with Star Wars stuff. So, competing with that Bethesda thing, and this is going to be an entire fucking week of every company announcing, hey, welcome to Sony Hearthstone. Nintendo's going to announce tomorrow. Now it's time for Mario Brothers Hearthstone. I get it. CCGs. They're a fucking thing. Cut it out. Let's talk about sports, even though I don't want to. They showed all their games for varying amounts of time. NHL was on screen for all of 10 minutes. Well, that's actually overstating it. NHL was on screen for all of a minute. And they mentioned something called the EA Sports Hockey League. They didn't explain what the EA Sports Hockey League was. Moving on. There was Rory McIlroy, I think, PGA Tour 16. I guess it's not Tiger Woods anymore. Did he retire? I don't know. I don't follow golf. Anyways, they said there's going to be no load times between holes, so that's pretty cool. That's going to be on Frostbite. It looked pretty. They're going to use that to do a bunch of cool fantasy holes. What you expect. They also brought up the EA Ultimate Teams thing, which is a connecting program between all of their different sports games, and they're using that to kind of give you all sorts of extra data, give you all sorts of extra stuff, and it looks like if you sign up for that, you will get this like training mode in some games, which the way they represented was showing, I think it was soccer, and it looked basically like, so if you play any simulation driving games, you'll know about the driving line. It's this line that appears in front of you that changes in color to let you know whether you need to be braking or putting down the accelerator or something like that. They kind of had that, but for sports games, where like the net was a different color and there was like a line from the player to the net with the ball, and it kind of changed as he was moving, I guess to show what angle you'd want to shoot the ball from. Seemed bizarre, but that was a thing. Then they went into NBA Live 16. They had a lot to say about that. First off, Game Face is back, that creepy EA technology where it scans your face and puts your face in the game. Except it looks way better now. It always looked kind of funky before. You got real Uncanny Valley, and you still get a little bit of that, but it looks much more accurate now. It seems a lot smoother. It happens real quick, and it no longer uses the Kinect or something like that. It now just works on your phone, You just take your phone, you scan the app, you turn your face to the left, to the right a little bit, and it scans it in real quick. Seems pretty cool. That game is going to be available on the 29th. That app is going to be available early. As for what's in the game, movement is contextual now, thanks to a very large animation library, and the options regarding actual shooting the ball and passing the ball, all the actual kind of attacking options in basketball seemed rather immense, though I do wonder about some of the practicality. They were talking about basically letting off the trigger, letting off the button at a certain point in order to shoot it in a certain way, and it just seems like that it seems like it'll be natural, but it's going to have a learning curve. Not that I would know, I'm not a sports game guy after all. Oh, they also use the term swag unironically during that segment, so ew. Then, well, I got a couple other things here. Am I missing a page? I think I'm missing a page. Hold on. I'm totally missing a page. Ah, here we go. I was wondering where it went. They also talked about FIFA. They talked for ages about FIFA. Pele came up, and they talked to Pele for like 10 minutes, and he was kind of hard to understand. And then they really went into a bunch of stuff that didn't make sense to me about how the attacking and defensive options in soccer are completely revamped or something. Yeah. Also, the ladies are now in FIFA. Now you got all the ladies teams for that game, which they said took years. Though that seems like that wouldn't take years, in my opinion. But whatever. They also talked about their mobile strategy. They went on for a while about their mobile strategy. They got a whole bunch of different games coming up. They all seem to be doing quite well. People put a lot of time into their EA games, their EA mobile games. The one big one they really pimped was what was called Minion Paradise, I think. It's a terrible-looking Minion kind of builder game where you play a bunch of mini-games with the minions from the movie Despicable Me, and you collect coconuts and stuff. We don't cover mobile games, but this one looked especially kind of banal. Then they showed Mirror's Edge Catalyst. It's another Mirror's Edge game. I'd like to say there's a hook to it, some cool story thing, but I didn't actually see one. It kind of just seems like dystopia is still dystopia. Go jump on some stuff. Also, if you kind of wanted to throw up during the last game, you will probably throw up during this one, because the motion blur was there and heavy. However, it did look nicer. It was somewhat darker. It's not super bloomed out anymore, though you still definitely get that look, so they haven't lost their aesthetic. They also claimed it's going to have no levels or loading screens, which makes me think it's going to be open world, but they didn't say open world. So yeah, that's coming out February 23rd, 2016. Also, in my opinion, I think Catalyst is going to be this generation's Revelations. So get ready for every game to use the word Catalyst in it. Oh, there is more sports. Also, Madden 16 was up. They talked about fantasy football a lot, and that when you're doing fantasy football, it's not just like it doesn't just happen automatically. You actually get to make plays on the field. And then they talked about a bunch of stuff I didn't understand because it was football. And then my Twitch stream died, so that happened. And then finally they talked about fucking Battlefront, which is what you were all here to listen to anyways. And yes, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty fucking cool. They had full access to the Lucasfilm vaults while they were doing that, so all the models are done off the actual props, so they look quite nice. The multiplayer modes are 40-player to 8-player, so there's a lot of range there. The ships are there. You're flying X-Wings, you're flying TIE Fighters, but there's still no space combat. You're still not actually getting to go out into space. It's all in atmosphere. They did confirm there will be single-player campaign missions, which is nice. And they've also confirmed that there will be heroes in the multiplayer, so you will get to become Darth Vader or Luke or whatever. Then they showed some actual gameplay, for once, finally, of that game. And they showed Hoth, because what else do you show when you show a Star Wars game? You show Hoth. And for those wondering, camera-wise, it is first person, but it is also third person, and it looked as though you can switch between those two viewpoints at will. Basically kind of balancing it between Battlefield and Battlefront, which makes sense, because DICE is making it, but it is called Battlefront. Most of the actual, gameplay, the movement, and the objectives seemed very Battlefieldy to me. You're a lot of control points kind of stuff. And a lot of the style of the animation and the way guys were moving seemed very Battlefield to me specifically as compared to Battlefront. Walkers and all those kind of things. Controlling walkers, they showed a little bit of controlling a walker. That looked pretty cool. You got a kind of a good, you got that overhead view of everyone on the ground. You just firing lasers at them. That looked fun. And the dogfighting, for as much as it's not in space, the dogfighting between the ships did seem pretty cool. It looked pretty fast, looked pretty smooth. You kind of were able to do what you needed to, and of course, you are able to, on Hoth against the walkers, you were able to spit out the tow wire and do the thing, as it were. Also, interesting thing to note, I did notice, for the rebels at the very least, there were different races among their forces. You had those weird, gross lip guys, the one that helped Lando fly the Millennium Falcon. You had the Greedo race. You had some Mon Cals. So I don't know if you're making a character or something for those multiplayer modes, but there's some stuff that way. And that is Battlefront. That's out on the 17th of November, Battlefront 3. And that's EA. That's EA. I know that was a little bit more muddled than maybe it should have been. My notes for EA are always kind of weird because sports games are the death of me. But I don't know. It was better than last year when it was, yay, we're not showing you fucking anything. This year they actually had stuff to show. I'm a little disappointed in Mirror's Edge, honestly, just because it doesn't seem like there's a hook there. I mean, yeah, cool, you get to jump around on stuff some more, but they're kind of just like, oh, you get to see Faith's past and how she came to be, and you get to live through this dystopian future world. And I was like, yeah, but that's what I did before. I just didn't see her past because I didn't really care. There's no real specific, this is the thing that makes this story or this game interesting over the first one. So that was kind of a bummer. And then, Battlefield looked cool. Battlefront. Battlefront looked really cool, as you might expect. Garden Warfare, I'm excited for that. Unraveled seems like it'll be a curiosity, and the sports stuff was the sports stuff. But just in general, nothing there really grabbed me as much as I would have liked. I will say I'm more impressed with Need for Speed than I was expecting to be. As much as I'm not the driving guy, I think Need for Speed looks like it might be pretty goddamn cool. So yeah, I have to right now get this going because I have to I have to go watch Ubisoft's press conference in like 15 minutes. So if this goes up late, you'll know why. It's because I'm real busy. So have a good one. I'll see you in a few hours for Ubisoft, and then Sony after that. Later, guys.